What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Ham. We are here in my hometown once again at South and Pine, Morristown, New Jersey. I didn't say that. With Chef Leia Gaccione. Leia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here, too. So we got a lot going on today. There's a lot of things happening. We postponed this once, which I totally get, and now we're here again. So if you're watching on YouTube and you see people walking in front, like right now,
yeah,
totally fine. But we're going to power through because you're going through some renovations right now. And
yes.
At the day of this recording, tomorrow you're actually supposed to be open.
Correct.
So I appreciate you taking time out of what I'm sure is just been a chaotic few weeks.
I'm not stressed at all.
Right.
I'm not stressed at all.
You don't seem stressed. You seem very zen.
I mean, it's all a facade. I'm actually freaking out.
You hide it well.
Yeah, I mean, you have to in this business. It's
right.
all chaos. It's controlled chaos. So
yeah.
I feel like this is like my natural state that I'm used to being in.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think once it's done, I mean, I could already see, things are a lot better, a lot nicer than maybe when I've been here before. Not that it wasn't nice before. I don't mean to come off that way. But
no, we've made some solid improvements. And like when we opened this business, we really didn't have a lot of funds to work with. And so we just did like a very affordable cosmetic renovation with like paint and some wallpaper, and we just upgraded. We got all new light fixtures.
Yeah.
We added some ceiling fans in. We got new heat lamps. We did reupholstery on banquettes, brand new floors throughout the restaurant. So we did a lot.
Awesome.
And it was about double what I had budgeted for.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
That's always great, too.
Happy New Year.
I'm sure that doesn't add into the stress whatsoever. But,
No.
But we're going to talk more about the restaurant in our second segment today when we do more of like our experience type stuff, so what people can expect when they come down here. But I want to talk about you a little bit because, I live in Morristown. I lived here for the last 3 years and spent some time in Morristown before. And South and Pine, to me, has always been one of those spots in town that's just like a staple. So I want to talk a little bit about you, get to know you. So you're New Jersey born and raised,
Born
right?
and raised, Jersey
Love
girl,
that.
yep.
Love that. Where?
I was born in Passaic, New Jersey.
Cool.
My mom was a single mom. My dad left when I was pretty young, and I have a brother. So my mom always held down 2-3 jobs at a time to support my brother and I. And I started going to public school in Passaic, and my grandpa was like, you know what, I'm going to put you in private school. So we ended up going to St. John Canty in Clifton, which we were fortunate enough to be able to do that. And then I went to high school in Wayne.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And where'd you go to high school?
My girlfriend went to high school in Wayne. She's from Wayne. Yeah.
What high school?
I don't know. Wayne Hills, I think.
Okay, all right. I went to DePaul.
Oh, excuse me.
I feel like everyone
I went to Pope John, so.
Okay, so you get it.
I get it.
Everyone intermingled though in Wayne.
Right.
Wayne Hills and Passaic Valley and DePaul. Anyway, it was time to apply for college, and I applied to Montclair State for a psychology degree. And they lost my application in the process and told me that I wasn't going to be able to start college until the second semester. And so, obviously at 17 years old, I had a complete meltdown. My boyfriend broke up with me over the phone in the same week.
Nice.
And so, my life was ending.
Yep.
And I was working at a bookstore across the street from my high school. And my boss was like, "What do you love to do?" And I was like, I really love cooking. And he was like, "Well, my wife goes to a culinary school in the city.
Yeah.
Do you want me to set up a tour for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So I went into the city with my mom, and I always found New York City so magical. Just feeling like such a big girl, and getting on a bus and getting on a train and going to see the school, and you walk into this school and the classrooms are kitchens, and you're like, holy shit, is this real life? This is what my school could be. So I fell in love that day, and I signed up that day. And that's when I guess my career started.
Yeah. So what kind of drove the love for cooking? Was it just cooking at home? Was it doing that kind of stuff? Or take me through that.
Yeah, I think because my mom was a single mom and she was always working at night, and during the day we kind of had to fend for ourselves. So we had to cook for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I always loved watching cooking shows on TV. That was one of the bonding things that I did with my grandpa. We would watch Frugal Gourmet, Julia Child, Yan Can Cook. I remember watching Yan Can Cook fly through an onion and thinking, I'm really sorry about this.
It's okay.
We're doing great.
Yeah. No, I love it. This is my favorite kind of episode.
Okay, perfect. This is our life here at South and Pine.
Yeah, awesome.
So I remember watching on Yan Can Cook, he used to fly through an onion, and I used to be like, wow, I wish that I could do that with a knife and an onion. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And we used to watch Iron Chef America when that first came onto the scene. So I think that's where my love for food really started, by watching people on television cook. And still to this day, I can say I learned the fundamentals from watching cooking shows on TV, like the Two Hot Tamales taught me how to cut an onion.
Yeah.
Like I learned so many things from Emeril Lagasse or from Bobby Flay or from Jamie Oliver and that show How to Boil Water, or like interesting little science tidbits from Alton Brown. And that was kind of like my first school in culinaries.
Yeah. And then obviously, the cooking shows obviously paint the restaurant industry, the food industry. It's exactly the same, right?
Oh, no. No. I mean, they do make it seem very, very glamorous. And while I think that this is very glamorous, that's me. Like, sometimes we're cleaning poop out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
And, sometimes like the grease trap overflows and that's just an awful situation and that needs to get cleaned up. And you leave on a Saturday night and you have burger spatter all over your face and like my glasses, I need windshield washers on. Like it's hot, it's long, it's tired. You don't have time to go to the bathroom. Sometimes you don't have time to eat. You're getting like 24,000 steps in a day some days. I mean, it's hard work, but I love it.
Right.
I don't know what else.
Yeah.
It's too late for me.
Well, I mean, even though like I think people like that find something that they really love like all like the nitty gritty stuff like that. Like I could host a podcast and do this, and this is a lot of fun, and then go and meet different people and go to different places. But I also have to edit it and market it and run the site and do all these other things,
right?
Which is not the glamorous side. I mean, granted, I'm not cleaning shit, but I'm working.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's like, but you love it, and I think that's what kind of shines through. You're able to like take those things. That's just part of the whole experience.
Yeah, like there's nothing more that I love than like a Saturday night when there's so many tickets coming through, and like the machine won't stop, and the servers need something. Like, for instance, my family came last Mother's Day, and they've never been here on such a busy day. Like, just so happened, like we just got to fill up the restaurant and the whole patio was full. It was like one of those first spring days that like the whole restaurant's packed. And they came in at 11, and by 11:15, I think we had 75 menus down.
Wow! And
it just started, and like tickets are going, and I'm like pumping ketchups and pulling plates, and guys, I need this. Guys, I need 2 sides of fries. How come? Where's the burrito? Where's the burrito? Like, and like at the end of it, my family looked at me and they're like, "Oh, now we understand why you are the way you are." And I'm like, "It's taken you guys 20 fucking years to realize this? Like, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah,
thanks,
right.
guys."
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. So what? So after you were done with the school side of it, and then you started working. So what type of jobs did you have at the very beginning that kind of kicked off the career?
So actually, I thought that I wanted to be front of the house at first,
Okay.
because there was no real. You just don't think that, like, as a woman, you are made for the kitchen. But I started working at Charlie Brown's Steakhouse.
Okay.
As a hostess.
A legendary spot.
Yeah. I mean, the salad bar is classic.
That's right.
That raisin bread is very tasty. So yeah, I started working as a hostess, and then I became a server, and then I became a trainer, and then I became an associate manager. And I started going to these weekly seminars to become an assistant manager. I was only like 18 at the time, but I was just like hungry for more. Like I've been used to having so much responsibility in my life. It just felt natural for me to be in a management position. And they wouldn't give me a promotion. And so, like, one day I took, like, 20 resumes and I went to Montclair and I just walked around from restaurant to restaurant and I was like, I'm going to start working in a kitchen somewhere. Yeah. And I went into this one restaurant called Liberté. It's not there anymore. Cuban Pizza's there now.
Love Cuban Pizza.
Yeah, I opened that place.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh, yeah. That might be for not on the podcast. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So this dude, Frank, he was the chef. He was from France. The owners were German and Turkish. And he asked me if I knew what a gastrique was in my interview, and I had no idea what it was. And like a week later, he came to Charlie Brown's looking for me, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, I wanted to offer you a job in the kitchen." And I was like, "Amazing!" And I just looked at him and I was like, "I know what a gastrique is now." I went home and I researched it.
Yeah.
So I started working there. Turned into Cuban Pete's. I opened Cuban Pete's. That was a wild ride. Not very long-lived, short-lived. Yes. And then from there, I went with the chef to, That was crazy. Opening Cuban Pete's was nuts. We worked like literally 95 hours a week. We were there from open to close every day, and it was busy right from the jump. Like that place is, I think it's the highest grossing BYO in New Jersey still. Yeah. So kudos to him for doing that. But I didn't last there very long. I ended up going with the chef to the city to Son Cubano, which was so much fun. And then I went to another restaurant called Sasha. I came back to Jersey. That place, Sasha, closed like the week before Christmas and laid off the whole staff. That sucked. Yeah. Came back to Jersey and was doing like a little stint at this place called Gaucho Steak, which Alex Garcia was a chef of. And we got a really great write-up in the Star Ledger, and the owners from Raymond's read it. Okay. And they contacted me and asked if I would come do a tasting for them. So I did. I ended up working at Raymond's for like a year-ish, probably a little over a year. And actually, they're the ones who introduced me to Bobby Flay. They wanted me to go for 3 days because I was like 23 at the time. Yeah. And they're like, why don't you just go, see what makes them successful, see what makes them organized, and then come back. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, Bobby Flay is mean. He's so mean to that guy on Grillin' and Chillin'. Like, I really am not a fan, but all right, I'll do it. Yeah. So I went, and they invited me back the following week to meet Bobby. Yeah. So I'm like standing at the chef's station, and on this side there's, garde-manger and hot apps and roast, and on this side is saute and grill and broil, and I'm standing at the head, and I can see Flay walk in, and he just starts walking right towards me, and I was cutting red onions for this mango relish, and he walks right up to me, and he goes, hi, and I'm like, hi, I'm Leia, and he's like, I'm Bobby, and I'm just like in my head, I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. Right. So I said out loud, I go, this is crazy. And he said, what's crazy? And I was like, it's just really crazy that you're here. And he looked at me dead in the eye and he goes, it's my fucking restaurant. What do you expect? And I was like, I turned beet red like a lobster. Like my Irish was shining, and I had to walk away because I almost cut my finger off. And then about a month later, I was back at Raymond's working, and I was in the basement. Mind you, I'm like 23 at the time. And the hostess comes downstairs, and she's like, Chef, Liz from some bar is on the phone for you. And I was like, oh, my God, I left my credit card at the bar last night. Like,
We've all been there.
How many vodkas did I have? And I pick up the phone, and she's like, it's Liz from Bar American. Bobby's sitting right across from me. He wants to know if you want to have a future with us. And I was like, wow, this is insane. So I met with him, and I was really impressed with how he talked about food and how, like, his passion off the bat was, like, sold me. And then he was also talking about this work-life balance thing that in this industry I've never heard of, and that also intrigued me. So I signed on with him, and I was with him for a little over 7 years. And I was at 5 of his fine dining establishments, and it was, like, honestly, never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I would be working for somebody on Food Network, somebody that I had watched for years. Yeah. Like, I didn't think that would be a reality in my life. And there were so many pinch me moments in working for him that I was like, this is just honestly such a dream come true. And he has given me so many opportunities. I don't think I would be where I am without having worked for him, because I got so much knowledge for working for him and with his team and in his restaurants, in learning how to run a kitchen and in learning how to run a business. Yeah. So I feel like that's been really, really priceless for me.
Yeah, of course. And you've been on cooking competition shows too, right? Yeah. Chopped?
Yes.
Was that one?
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, take me through that experience, because I feel like it's kind of interesting, because you said you learned how to cook by watching these shows, and now you're on one of these shows. Granted, it's not like, hey, today we're going to learn how to make chicken parm, but it's like, everyone's yelling, at least the way they make it seem on TV. But, like, what was that kind of, like, journey like to come full circle and get back to that point?
It's wild. Yeah. Like, the first time I did Iron Chef America, you walk into Kitchen Stadium and you're like, whoa, like, I've seen this on TV so many times, and now I'm here actually in this kitchen. So I feel like even walking into the Chopped kitchen, it's the same thing, because you've been watching it for so many years. Yeah. I was really scared to do a cooking competition. And, like, Flay, like, forced me to. He was like, you're doing it, you have no choice. And I knew that on my first, I knew I was going to cut myself, because I get very nervous. Yeah. And so on my first competition, I had to cut, like, all these things on a mandolin. So I was like, let me just bang them out back to back to back, and then get rid of the mandolin. Like, thinking about effectiveness, because that's really what this business is.
Yeah.
It's like how you can do the most in the least amount of time.
Exactly.
So I'm like cutting garlic and cutting ginger and like cutting Fresnos and cutting whatever else I'm cutting on there. And the camera guy's literally with his camera in my face going, ow, 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 ow. And I'm like, dude, can you stop? Like, this is so fucked, you know? Yeah. And lo and behold, I sliced my hand from like here to here on the mandolin. And I dropped the mandolin. I was like, Renee, it was Bobby Flay's culinary director. I'm like, I cut my hand. She goes, come over here. We had like a little stash of Band-Aids. So I like rinse it off and I put a Band-Aid on it. Like I put a glove on it. And like 2 minutes later, the glove is filled with blood. So I'm like, shit. So I like take it off, put another one on, fills with blood again. They had to call the medics out. They're like, 35 minutes remain. They're like, Lee, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Just wrap it up. We gotta go.
Right.
And we ended up winning.
Oh, nice.
And so
persevering.
Yeah. I mean, but like again, that's what this business is. It's like you're sick, you come to work until the chef tells you to go home. Like no matter, you just can't stop. You have to keep going until the night is over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it now. Yeah. I love it. It's such an adrenaline rush. It's so it's exhilarating. It really is exhilarating. Yeah. I like live for it.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. It's so cool just to kind of like, because I mean, I knew about that, but I never met you before. So like, just to kind of like hear the story is just so cool and so much fun. But
and like, it's legit.
Yeah.
Like when they say 60 minutes, you have 60 minutes. When you have 20 minutes, you legit have 20 minutes.
Right.
Like they'll be like, here's a zucchini, come up with addition 20 minutes making zucchini the star. And you're like, you don't even know where you pull it out of.
Yeah,
it's like, how do you come up with this? But like, I've learned by doing multiple, I mean, I kind of feel like I attack those the same way I attack the menu, where it's like you start with like a list of what's seasonal and you build from there. So that's usually like my route and planning, unless there's like pickled pig's feet and like.
Yeah, I don't know what season those come in.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but.
It was an awful. Yeah. Chopped was hard.
It sounds hard. And I mean, like I like to cook, but there's no way I can do that. Like I just like to take my time, drink, and then have some fun with it. But, but that was a perfect segue talking about the menu. So we're going to take our first break of this episode.
Okay.
So this is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We are here at South and Pine in Morristown, New Jersey with Chef Leia Gaccione. We'll be right back. Today in New Jersey History is sponsored by PayPro. Let PayPro help your organization with human capital management and employee benefits so you can scale and grow. To learn more, head to payprocorp.com. It is time for Today in New Jersey History. Robert Sean Leonard was born on February 28, 1969 in Westwood, New Jersey, and raised in Ridgewood. The actor is best known for such roles as Neil Perry in Dead Poets Society, Dr. James Wilson on the television series House, and as Dr. Roger Kodak on the television series Falling Skies. And that is Today in New Jersey History. All right, we're back. This is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We are here at South and Pine in Morristown, New Jersey with Chef Leia Gaccione. So in the first segment, we learned about your background, how you got into food and cooking and all that kind of stuff. We learned about the TV shows and all that stuff, and that was great. But one of the things you mentioned towards the end of that was making the menus here for South and Pine. So in our second segments, we like to do kind of like an experience type thing. So what can people expect when they come in here? But before we get that, I just want to get my last question basically of the first segment in, is at what point you're working in all these different kitchens. Talk to me about like when you decided to open up your first restaurant.
Okay, so I was working for Bobby. We just opened Gatto. I would say up until this point in my career, that was maybe like the second hardest thing that I've ever done. It was like working for a celebrity chef, very high profile opening, a lot of stress, a lot of pressure on like making sure everything was perfect to, get good reviews, because he is not always loved by the critics. I think a lot of people underestimate him, and I think it's a shame because he's a really talented chef.
Yeah.
So that was a really hard moment in my life, actually, where I had a lot of doubt in whether I even wanted to do this or not. That's how hard it was. And somebody called me like when we were opening, and they're like, hey, my stepdad wants to open a restaurant. Like, do you want to open a restaurant? And I was like, no way. Like, I'm working for like this guy that I've been working for who's amazing, and he's always treated me fantastic, and we're doing this major opening in New York City, and like I'm living my dream. No. And then I worked for 100 days straight with no days off, like 15, 16-hour days, no recognition in newspapers. And, like, I didn't expect that.
Sure.
It is what it is. But, like, you realize when you're doing this for somebody else, like, maybe I could do this for myself. And so they called me back 3 months later, and they're like, you sure you don't want to? And I was like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we started looking, and then we were having trouble finding a space, and I called my friend Carl up, and he was like, meet me at my restaurant. I want to take you and show you something. So he brought me here. It was a different restaurant at the time, and he's like, just pretend that you want to have a party here. And I'm like, dude, like, why are you ambushing me? Why are you making me do this? So, like, we walk in, and I'm like, hi, my mom's surprise party is in a few weeks, and I want to have it here. Can you get me a menu? So they, like, go to get a menu. I'm, like, taking pictures of everything, like, being super shady, like a spy, like that. And we left, and so I showed it to my potential partners, and, like, they were just very trigger shy. And Carl set up a meeting with the guys who own this place. And they offered me a very good deal to partner up with them and, open a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. And that was in 2015.
Yeah.
So we're going to celebrate our 7th anniversary this year.
Awesome.
Yep.
Love that. And so, I know you look at other spaces, or was this, like, the one that you really tried to get? Morristown, I feel like 7 years ago wasn't really like Morristown the way it is now.
Right.
So talk to me about that. Like, why Morristown? Was there a reason behind that?
Honestly, like, I feel like it's such a fluke that I ended up in Morristown, but I am so grateful that I ended up in Morristown, because not only do I own a business here now, I also live here. I walk into town every morning. I get coffee. I love seeing people that I know. I love that the girl who works at the coffee shop knows me. I love that the smoothie place knows me. Like, right. I see the same dogs when I walk my dog. So I feel like it's such a great community here, and I'm really happy that we ended up here because it feels like home.
Yeah. No, I live here too, and I walk into town all the time to grab whatever. Sometimes it's like a little bit stronger than a coffee, but it's fantastic. So take us through, like, if people have never been to South and Pine, which you haven't. If you haven't been, you have to. Like, what can they come to expect? Like, let's go broad strokes, and then we can get a little bit more detailed after that.
Okay, so I always tell people I share with the staff that I want people to feel like they're coming over my house for dinner, and so it's just like, the food is like how I cook for myself. It's like mindful.
Yeah.
But like sometimes it's a little bit more comforting. It's like a little bit more indulgent, and sometimes it's a little bit lighter. But I really base my cooking off the seasons. So I would say it's a seasonal American restaurant that's like a spot where you can come 3 times a week. It's not pretentious, but we use really high quality ingredients. We source from a lot of local farms. Sustainability is very important to us. Making sure that our proteins are humanely raised is really important to us. And just making sure that, like, we're supporting other small businesses, because we're a small business too. So we take a lot of pride in things like that. And the produce is always like my muse. What's in season now? And like, we're in winter. It's kind of like meh. But like Meyer lemons, obsessed. Cara oranges, I'm like into all dark leafy greens right now. But like my jam, summertime.
Yeah.
I live for summer. There's so much local stuff that we can get in Jersey, from squash to corn to tomatoes. I mean, like melons, peaches, plums. I mean, like, the possibilities are really endless. So like, I long for summer all the time.
We all do.
Who wants this -6 degree shit, really, to be honest?
It's terrible.
Be honest, it is bad.
No, I'm totally on board with that. But so when we're talking about these seasonal menus, are there like certain staples of the South and Pine menu that even if you come in the winter or the summer, that'll be there?
Yeah, there's like, I'm going to say maybe like 7 things that always stay on the menu. I don't know if we should start with a heavy hitter.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Hitter.
Polenta fries. That shit stays on the menu.
Yeah.
You can't, there will be a riot outside if I take those off. There's polenta fries in the window that are extra. I'm like, guys, is this for your table? Is this for your table? Everybody's like, no. I'm like, okay, cool, gotta go. And I like sneak in the back by the dishwasher and house it.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind going right in the kitchen, sorry, and talking to the lady, she'll sign it for you. Welcome to South and Pine.
Love it.
So polenta fries, spicy lamb meatballs have been on the menu since day one. Huge seller. Like, even kids love them. And I don't like lamb. I would even go as far to say as I despise lamb.
Yeah.
But I like the spicy balls. I think that they're delicious.
Yeah.
And like you get a lot of funny jokes about spicy balls in there, which is also a lot of fun for me.
That's also great.
The fried chicken is always on the menu. We're on fried chicken 2.0. I'm thinking about changing it again. The burger.
Yep.
The burger is solid. It's a sloppy, messy burger, but it's like a really good burger. And our salmon has only changed twice, but our salmon's like one of my favorite dishes because it's really balanced and like really tasty and satisfying, but also really, really good for you. So I feel like listen, I'm a chef and I love food, and I've actually been like on quite a bit of a journey over the past year myself where I've dropped like 50 pounds. So like I tend to incorporate that mentality into my food now. But I think it's important to have a balanced life of like polenta fries and fried chicken sometimes, and then like grilled salmon with brown rice and kimchi and a cucumber salad sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Life's all about balance with anything. You can't go too much healthy stuff or else you'll be miserable.
Correct.
And you need to get that little something extra.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's why, every time I come here, I don't go for the healthy options, just to be totally straight up. But just being honest.
Either. I don't blame you.
Right. If I'm going out to dinner.
Yeah, you're indulging.
Why am I gonna, I'll just have a salad. It's not gonna happen.
No, I don't blame you.
But talk to me also about kind of like when you're putting together these seasonal menus. Is it kind of like this winter, when this episode comes out, I think it's going to post in late February. So is this winter going to be the same as last winter, or is it constantly evolving over the last 7 years?
Constantly changing. We're really fortunate to have a lot of staff who's been with us for a long time. So like changing the menu is great for me because we've been here 7 years almost. Yeah. I don't want to make the same thing every day, and neither do the cooks. And you don't want to eat the same thing every time you come there. So it's always something new, always something exciting. There was only one time that I did not do a menu change, and that was in this past fall, because I wasn't here for quite some time because I was away working on a project that we will hopefully be able to discuss soon.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And then, so are you in the kitchen every night?
Not now.
Okay.
In the beginning, I was in the kitchen from morning to night. And now I would say, some weeks I'm not in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Some weeks I'm in the kitchen for the 5 days that I'm working. It kind of depends what's going on. Are we in the middle of a menu change? Are we short-staffed? Did somebody call out? But there's a lot more to running this business than just me having blinders and being stuck on one station. Where I am usually when I'm here is expediting, where I can see the food coming up. I can see the cooks cooking. I can correct whatever they're doing if it needs to be corrected, or encourage them when they need encouragement. But I'm like, there's 2 points of control in the restaurant. One is the host stand, and one is the kitchen.
Right.
So like if I have somebody solid running the door and I'm running the kitchen, I know that our night is going to go smooth, because when you come and tell me this table's 30 minutes late, I'm like, yo guys, we got to push table 25. This is table 25, by the way.
Oh, cool.
But don't be hating on me when you come in here and you tell me push 25. Anyway, I think I just blew up my own spot.
Yeah. Slow down 25.
Exactly. We have like code words and everything.
Right.
So yeah, it's like that. Like there's just, I love being able to control the front and the back at the same time. I love that I could see the food coming up and control the pace of it coming up, but also see that there's a straw wrapper on the floor and table 5 needs water and table 21's looking around because they're ready for the check, and there's 7 people waiting up front because I need this table, and that table to get up. I love being the circus leader, the ringleader,
the puppet master.
Exactly. Yeah, that is where I excel. Don't get me wrong. Throw me on grill on a Saturday night and tie one hand behind my back, I will murder that shit. But I like to bounce around and be available for everybody.
Yeah, I love that, because it's your place.
Yeah.
And like the quality control obviously is a big part of it.
Yeah.
So if I come in here, like in the winter and then the summer and then one time it sucks and be like, I'm not gonna go back.
I know.
It's like it only takes is like one bad experience.
It happens sometimes.
Right. But but I think that's like the nature of the thing.
Yeah. We really try to maintain a certain standard.
Yeah.
I feel like always there's 2 points in the year where it gets weird, and it's like when you get all the new staff in the summertime to load up for the patio, that's a tough time because it's training a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then when there's the drop off into winter because it's, what do they say? Like, idle time is the devil's...
Oh, yeah. Idle minds or idle whatever.
Something like that.
Devil's workshop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, when it gets slow, everybody takes a little step back and they don't pay attention as much.
Yeah.
So, like, there's 2 points in the year where we always need to, like, have a lot of pep talks and a lot of staff meetings and just, keep everybody informed and on the same page. And we try to have a meeting every day just to, like, talk about what happened yesterday and how could we do it better today. And, how do we want to be representing ourselves and also be representing this business and tasting the food and educating the staff on that and how to talk about it. And I'll tell them, like, what clicked in my head to create a certain dish, and then they'll use that at a table to describe it to our guests, which is really important.
Yeah.
Because it carries the conversation. It's really like a story that we want to keep sharing.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Awesome. So this episode so far has crushed it. So we're going to take our second break, our last break of this episode. So this is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here at South and Pine in Morristown, New Jersey with Chef Leia Gaccione. We'll be right back. It is time for your New Jersey fun fact of the day. Did you know that New Jersey does not have an official state song? Many people think it's I'm from New Jersey, but this has never actually been made the official song of the state. And that is your New Jersey fun fact of the day. All right, we're back. This is our last segment of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We are here at South and Pine in Morristown, New Jersey with Chef Leia Gaccione. So this episode so far has been awesome. We've learned about your background. We learned about the background of South and Pine, kind of what would go into someone's experience when they come in here for the very first time or the 100th time. I think that's really cool to kind of get a behind-the-scenes look at kind of what goes on here. But our last segments, what we always like to do is try to see the relationship that whatever business we're talking to has with the community. And like I mentioned at the beginning, in my opinion, South and Pine is one of like the staples of the Morristown community as a whole. It's right next to the MPAC. It's like, right on South Street. I think it's fantastic. The corner of South and Pine, there's the name. See, right there. I got that one.
You caught on. I like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty quick. They can't get much by me. But let's start with when you opened the restaurant, the community's receptiveness to you as a new business in town.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they were receptive. I think it was definitely, it's really scary to open a restaurant because you, A, don't know what to expect, and B, the success rate of restaurants is very small.
Yeah.
So I remember opening, and right off the bat, we were open 7 days for lunch and dinner and brunch on the weekends. And like for months. We opened in May of 2015 for months. Like every weekend I would be like, why did we open for brunch? This is awful. It is awful.
Yeah.
And like at night, on the show nights, we would do great.
Right.
And then the show would start at 8 o'clock and you could see at 7:45, the whole restaurant would empty out. It would fill up at like 6:30. The whole restaurant would empty out and that would be our night. One solid hit because of the theater. And like, again, back in the day, I worked every day on the line. So like working a slow brunch, like you just want to like blow your brains out. It's just awful. Yeah. Like you're like, why? It's Sunday. Yeah. And I'm here, stuck here.
Right. And you're probably here till like midnight or later, whatever, the night before.
Exactly. Yeah. So I remember it was in April. It was a Sunday morning. I had to go to Restaurant Depot because we had no bacon, no arugula, and something else. So I was like, I'll go before brunch. So I parked my car in the back, and the back door was locked, which is never locked. And so I had to walk up Pine Street onto South Street and come in through the front doors. And like, as you walk up Pine Street, it's kind of on an incline. And so like, as I got further up, like I see some heads and then I see more heads and then I see the entire patio is full.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I literally started running around the corner and running into the kitchen because I was
bacon.
like, I know, I was like, this is crazy. Like it was never so busy.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, it was like busy on the weekends, busy for brunch. And
right. Yeah, you can't even get in here like for brunch, at least, you know.
It's pretty mind-blowing. Yeah. Like at first, I think we really relied on the theater to get business, but I think then kind of like people started to know what we were about and started to hear about us from word of mouth, and that really helped our reputation, and people started coming. And I mean, it's like, I seriously can't believe it. I seriously, some days I'm like, is this really my life?
Yeah.
Like I could cry about it. I'm so grateful because like this is what I love, and I'm able to do it because this community allows me to. We are successful for two reasons. One, because of the people who dine with us, and two, because of the people who work with us. And like if it weren't for those two things, we wouldn't be who we are. And so like it's really mind blowing.
Yeah, I love that. It's so cool to think about it too, because like at first you weren't even sure if you even wanted to start your own restaurant. Then you kind of like, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, fell ass backwards into this particular restaurant,
Yep.
and now here we are, 7 years later,
Yeah.
and just crushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. So also we like to kind of talk about the relationship that you kind of the reverse now. So like, I mean, I know that you guys are active in the community. You do a lot of stuff for the community because I feel like that reverse, you know, the back and forth is very important. So take me through maybe like some things that you've been doing over the last, you could even do the last couple of years. Obviously that was a pretty significant time in all of our lives. So maybe some things that you did to try to like give back and make sure that you were supporting the same community that also supports you.
Yeah, so I think like listening to the community is really important, and I think over the past 2 years we've really solidified our relationship with Morristown. Because up until this point, like I was never really big on like doing videos on Instagram, but when March of 2020 hit, like that was the only way for us to communicate.
Yeah. And
I think because of that, like I became more the identity of this restaurant than the restaurant being my identity.
Right.
So I saw some posts on Instagram that was like, hey, like, what do you need for Morristown businesses during the pandemic? And like, I saw people's responses, but then I was like, wait a second. I'm like, there's long lines at grocery stores right now where people are like waiting in the cold. I was like, what if I did a grocery program? And so we started a grocery program 2 days a week that turned into 3 days a week. And I felt really happy that we were able to offer something to the community to help them, but they could offer us their business, which literally saved us.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like we were working hand in hand with each other and helping each other. Also, like working with other local businesses is really important. So South Street Yoga, obviously we were all really struggling during the pandemic, and we were looking at ways to like join forces to be stronger. And so we decided to do on Saturday mornings yoga on our patio, and then we would do brunch to go. And that was one thing that we've done too. Hey, be quiet. Sorry.
Take control of what's going on here.
Who is back there right now? Everything is fine. So,
We've come this far. We got to get to the finish line.
Another cool thing about like this community is that like they wanted to help us so much. And so Jeff Haig started this Facebook group that was called the Morristown Eat Out Twice a Week Stimulus Plan, which was single-handedly saved Morristown businesses, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of traction behind that. And the mayor, Tim Doherty, started this campaign that was like a GoFundMe campaign for small businesses in Morristown. And I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to, if we were even going to need the money. But like, I didn't know what was going to happen, because in March of 2020, I was like borderline suicidal because I thought I was going to lose everything. Like I was scared that I was going to lose everything. So you just didn't know what was going to happen next. And so, we started this thing. We raised $9,000 on it, and we didn't need the money. And so I donated it to a local organization because we could and because we should. And I mean, even now we're closed for renovation for 3 weeks. Like, the community is not only the people who dine here, the community is us who work here. Like, I am so grateful to be able to have paid our staff for the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Their full salaries.
Yeah.
And they can take a vacation because they've worked so hard over the past 2 years.
Right.
Like, that makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
It, like, literally, I feel so fulfilled to be able to do that for all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's like makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy,
Good.
and I'm sure everybody listening the same way.
Good.
So this has been awesome. So if people want to come eat here, what is the address?
90 South Street in Morristown. Highly recommend making a reservation. There's a link on our website through Resi where you can make a reservation for, I think it's like parties of 6 or less. If it's a party of 6 or more, then you should call the restaurant. Definitely make a reservation.
What's the website?
southandpine.com. Instagram
Easy.
is southandpine. I'm making my Instagram public today.
Oh, wow.
I know. I know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of world. You get like a lot of different kind of stuff coming through.
She said, I'm not sure I understand. I'm not sure I understand either.
I'm not sure I understand either, yeah.
So that should be interesting. But, yeah, I mean, this has been a wild ride. And, you know, I can't believe we're 7 years in. And I feel like we haven't even hit our potential yet. Like, it's cool that we could all keep evolving. It's cool that we kind of did a little refresh. And it's like South and Pine 2.0. And
it's so much brighter in here. Like, that's one thing that I noticed when I walked in.
I think the floors and the lights
just make it like,
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be better when we get those heaters out of the way out there, because there's a lot of natural light. But yeah, it's really exciting. And, you know, we had to do a little update. 7-year itch.
Right, exactly.
It's like you got to get a new...
a midlife crisis.
You got to get a new boo. I got a new boo. We're good. We're good now.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'll make sure that I put the address, the website, the social handles all in the show notes, along with greetingsfromthegardenstate.com, which is the hub for the show. Chef, thank you so much for coming on with us today. This was... I mean, I had high hopes for this, and this just blew them all out of the water, because this is one of my favorite spots in town.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me here, and I can't wait for you guys to get back open, because I will be here 100%.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me to do this with you. This was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So much fun. And everybody else, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next week.